He's the highest with the red flag. Yeah, which did not sit well with an awful lot of people. And so the Quaker religion was born. They were called the Religious Society of Friends. One of their leaders, William Penn, was given a gift of land across the Atlantic Ocean when his father died, owing the king a lot of money. The king settled the debt by giving William Penn the Quaker this land, named after Penn's late father, called Pennsylvania. Exactly. The king made a deal with Penn. He said it will be an English colony. I'll still be king. You'll still be English. But you can take these people, these minority religion groups, like Quakers, like the Amish, like the Jews, like Catholics, who are a minority religion in England. I was an adult after college and after I'd been married. This whole area was not the beautiful green park that you see today. It was slums. There were factories belching smoke all along here. It was smelly. It was dirty. This magnificent building, which was the second National Bank of the United States, was all boarded up. And the reason for that, there's many reasons for it. But basically, this is what happened. After America got started, after the Revolutionary War, we grew so fast as a nation that nobody had a chance to look back. And you'll remember from history that we fought a great many wars in the very beginning of our country. The Revolutionary War, the French-Indian War, the War of 1812, the horrible Civil War which almost destroyed what had been started here in Philadelphia in 1776, and then the First World War. After the First World War in 1918, America began to become a world power. We're only about 150 years old. Very, very young for a country about 10 years old as a life child in its first year. So we didn't have a chance to look back. You guys are now developing your own lives, the sense of your own history. So you have some. But when you were 10 years old, what do you call those? The same wood, that's what the word Pennsylvania means. And William Penn was so taken with the vegetation and the greenery that he found here, that when he sat down with his chief surveyor, Sir Thomas Cullen, and he said, all right, we're going to turn the way Philadelphia is going to look. Philadelphia needs to
I'm a volunteer for the National Park Service. One of the things the Park Service does is to preserve this bell for our appreciation and for the appreciation of future generations. While I'm giving the talk, if there's any reason that you need to leave, please use the exits on either side of the chamber. At the end of the talk, there'll be an opportunity for you to rearrange yourselves and take any pictures that you want to, and an opportunity for individual questions. You come to see this bell, an old bell, a cracked bell, a chipped bell. You come to see it because of what happened long ago. Let's imagine that it is not 1996, but rather 220 years ago, 1776. Let's imagine that we came from 13 British colonies scattered up and down the Atlantic coast. And we've come to a meeting in the building you see there, which was standing there in 1776. We've been there for several weeks talking about what we as colonies and representatives of colonists are going to do. Because we feel that those folks in London, the King and the Parliament, have not been fair to us. They have been taxing us without giving us anything to say about it. For some crimes, they're trying to take accused criminals to London for trial, instead of giving them a jury trial right here in their colony. In other ways, we feel that our rights and privileges as Englishmen are being taken away from us. Now, if we're at this meeting and we happen to be from the colony of Pennsylvania, we know about this bell because it's the State House bell. It's been on top of that building for 20-some years. We hear it ringing often. And we might even know about the inscription around this bell, made by order of the Assembly of the Province of Pennsylvania, and also a quotation from the book of Leviticus in the Old Testament. Proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all the inhabitants thereof. An inscription especially appropriate for the province of Pennsylvania, because William Penn established this colony for purposes of religious freedom. Also in Pennsylvania, there was a greater measure of democracy. We're back in 1776. There is a greater measure of democracy than in some of the other colonies. Also, the legislature has more independent power than in some of the other colonies. If we're not from Pennsylvania, we probably don't know anything about this bell. We hear it ringing from time to time. In our meeting, we're trying to decide what to do. We argue, we discuss, we agree, we disagree. And finally, toward the end of June, the beginning of July, things crystallize. We have a document prepared by a committee. That document has become known as the Declaration of Independence. On July 4th, we hear it read for our vote. We may remember a few phrases from it. Phrases like near the beginning, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And toward the end, a phrase, we believe that these colonies, that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states. Those phrases are important because it was the first time, it is in 1776, the first time in human history when anybody, anywhere, in any document that started a government said anything like, all men are created equal. It was the first time in human history that the people of an area decided that they were going to govern themselves. No longer governed by a king, not governed by nobles, not ruled by some military leader, but governing themselves. And at the very end, we, in that meeting, are going to put our signatures on it, say, to this cause we pledge our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. Now, if our revolution is successful, that's fine. But if it isn't, we'll be traitors, and we will find ourselves hanging at the end of a rope. We approve the Declaration of Independence. We send it to the printer, have copies made, have copies carried. That was the only way to get there, to all of the colonies. On Monday, July 8th at noon, the State House bell rings. People of the city know that means something special. Some of them may know what's going to happen. Many don't know. They gather in the square behind the State House. An officer of the Pennsylvania militia comes out with a document and reads the first public proclamation of the Declaration of Independence. Some people cheer and some people boo. The records say that the bells of the city rang all day long and well into the night. In 1776, some people thought that slavery was wrong and that it ought to be ended, but not enough to make that happen. The sentiment against slavery grew through the 1700s, into the 1800s, but slavery was not ended until after the Civil War. Before the Civil War, in 1839, one of the anti-slavery publications printed a poem called The the Liberty Bell. Alongside that poem, there was a drawing of this bell, and the poem itself referred to this bell, previously known as the State House Bell. That poem put a new emphasis on the inscription: proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all the inhabitants thereof. It wasn't until after the Civil War in 1865, when the 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States was adopted, that slavery was ended forever in all of the United States. Other amendments to the Constitution around that time guaranteed all the rights and privileges of citizenship to everyone born in the United States. But all the rights and privileges of citizenship at that time did not include the right to vote, especially if you were a woman. There were some people who thought that women should have the right to vote, but not enough to make it happen. The sentiment in favor of women voting slowly gathered strength through the 1800s, gathered strength more rapidly from 1900 on. In 1915, the women's movement had a copy of this bell made. They made a change in the inscription by adding a word: proclaim liberty and justice throughout the land and to all the inhabitants thereof. When that bell was dedicated in 1915, the speaker said, the original Liberty Bell announced the creation of democracy. The Women's Liberty Bell will announce the completion of democracy. And they tied the bell clapper to the side so it could not ring until women received the right to vote. That happened 5 years later, in 1920, when the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was adopted. Since that time, hundreds of thousands, millions of people from all over the United States, from all over the world, have come to see this bell. This old bell, this cracked bell, this chipped bell. They come to see it because of what it represents. Leaders of governments from around the world have come to see it. Leaders of freedom movements from around the world have come to see it. They've come to see it because this bell has become an enduring international symbol of liberty, freedom, and democracy. Now, if you would rearrange yourself to oblige the picture takers, and if any of you have individual questions, I'm...
About 4. I've already gone 3 days. I have 120 exposures.
I have gone forward. There's no talk of independence at this time. They decided to hold some meetings, the colonists, to try to figure out what they're going to do about the king and his colonies. One of those meetings happened right here. It's called the Second Continental Congress. They try to get peace with the king, but it doesn't work. They can't agree on the terms. And in June of 1776, over a year after wars began, Richard Henry Lee from Virginia proposed independence. On July the 2nd, they accepted his proposal for independence, and Thomas Jefferson brought in the Declaration of Independence. Now this is what we're used to seeing, but this is not what he brought in. This isn't what it looks like, and they've changed a few things. Now this isn't his handwriting, and they debated for July the 2nd and July the 3rd of this document. They took some things out. One of the sections they took out would have abolished the slave trade. Now not slavery itself, but it would have made it illegal to go to Africa, get men, women, and children, bring them back to America, and force them to be slaves. That's just one example of several things that they took out, and they changed some of the wording. On July the 4th, 1776 is the day that they accepted this document as the one that they would send all over the world to represent their breakaway from Great Britain. However, July the 4th is not the day they signed it. They had copies printed up. Everyone took home a copy. They read it. Timothy Matlack was the assistant secretary. He took home a copy as well. find my home. This is where you can come find my family as well as myself. We all know the end of that story. The Americans win the Revolutionary War, and the last battle was fought in 1781. The peace treaty is signed in Paris in 1783. The type of government they had is called the Articles of Confederation. They took the power of the king and the power of the parliament, and they took it and gave it to the states. So the states had the very strong powers. Their president and their Congress had very limited powers. For example, they could not tax the citizens under any circumstance. Soon these states arise and begin to argue, like imports, exports, state boundaries, and a lot of trivial things as well. They're not unified as a nation. So they decide to hold another meeting in this building. It is called the Federal Convention. The year is 1787. George Washington is back from the Revolutionary War. He presides over this meeting, and they begin to debate on how to change the Articles of Confederation. But we have a problem. Not all the states showed up. And under the Articles of Confederation, from meant that every state must agree on every change. It must be a unanimous vote. Rhode Island didn't even send anyone. They're a very small state with a very small population. They like having strong powers. They don't want to change the government. Instead of adjourning this meeting and going back to their individual states, they set that document aside and they start over from scratch. It was here that they decided to create a brand new document in order to form a more perfect union. And if you remember the painting that you saw in the other room, remember what the gentlemen were wearing? The long sleeve shirts, the vests, and the jackets? Well, they were here 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, for June, July, August, and September, and these meetings are secret. Those doors are closed and these windows are nailed shut. And they come here and they debate day after day after day. Are they going to talk about things like the president? How much power does this president get to have? How many presidents would you have? They have to discuss that first of all. When they decide one president and a vice president, then how long is the term going to be? They set up a 4-year term because they do not want a president that will rise to be king again. Then they need to talk about the legislature. Our legislature originally was very much like the British Parliament. We had a House of Commons, which was our House of Representatives. We voted on these men and it was based on population. We had our own House of Lords, that is our senators. You did not vote for senators at that time. They were appointed by state legislature until 1913. Then they finally need to talk about a court system, and they take the British idea of innocent until proven guilty, and they apply it to our courts. After 4 months of debate, 39 out of the 55 men agreed to sign the Constitution. Benjamin Franklin is the oldest member here. He's 81 years old. He sees all the men sign, and then he says something about George Washington's chair. This is a photograph of the back of George Washington's chair. That's right about here, about this tall. If you look right there, you see a half sun. Benjamin Franklin decided that this sun would represent the Constitution of the United States. And since it's a half sun, it can either be going up or it can be going down. When he saw the last man sign, he said, "At length I have the happiness to know that this is a rising and not a setting sun." Now, just because these men signed it does not mean this is the national law. They create a government for the people, by the people. It must...
Ryan's had fun with Green. That wheelchair, he's had real fun.
sorry. Woo! Woo!
Ready? Good. 1 second. With the figure. No, that's right, yeah. Okay, right here. Boy, you got him going.
Seeing old movies, young.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes, we
Hey, pick it up, gang, move. New World War is coming. Talking exciting, huh? Are you taking pictures? Y'all take some pictures of your ride? This might be your only ride. Might you all come down a little bit? There's plenty of room down here. It's much cooler down here.
This is so weird. I've never done one. Little legs don't get on the subway. That's all
Making express stop.
I understood that. What are we doing? No, go ahead, sit down.
One making local stop, 79 to the night.
And he'll yell at us when we're I think everybody brings their boxes for their filming by Friday.
Use your kids.
It's not that we claim it.
Y'all know where that comes from? Hoosier? Yeah.
Who's there? Or who's here? I've heard two different ones.
That's right.
I couldn't see anything.
Well, I once asked the local store if they had a number of new.
My birthday, Boilermaker by the Grace of God. That's right.
Rise and Sun. That's a pretty cool name. How'd you get your name?
We're an Indian reservation.
I think it's off George Washington.
Brother John, I'll tell you, I like your humor. That's two good ones so far today. I'm gonna have to make you a deputy tour guide to keep that up. All right. Yeah.
I bet you got a bad way of coming off the track.
Street
Jerry.
I think I'll come out. I think you got enough Luma areas or whatever they are.
So you can see the lights flashing by.
Yeah, oh, that's right. That's right. That's good.
It looks like we're in a warp tunnel.
Got a 2-hour battery on that baby.
I'm surfing.
I think you went down to the bus.
Jared LaFolle is
Okay,
still in there.
Jim probably went in to get your little buttons, all right? Now, this is the way it's going to work.
Listen!
I'm going to give you guys a brief tour of this beautiful cathedral, one of the most remarkable cathedrals in the whole world, right? And after I do the tour, you're going to have some time to go on your own throughout the cathedral and come back out front here and get some really good photographs of the front of the cathedral and all of that as well, right? I'll be telling you the time that we need to be back out front, and our motor coach will have gotten here by then, all right, after I finish my talk, okay? So it's real important you stay with me right now. Now, when we go inside the cathedral, to maximize our time together, to maximize what I can show you, it's real important that you get right over to me immediately, all right? I'm going to talk about one place, move over to another, get straight over there with me. Don't go around taking pictures and all that kind of business, okay? Say, can you please have the button? You didn't get it. Follow me? It'll have like a silhouette of a cathedral on part of it, so it's kind of a cool little souvenir. You can throw in your jewelry box, just stick up in the window or whatever, a mirror or whatever, okay? All right? You cool? Okay. Everything I need to know about it. Okay, so both of us will get there. They have got it. We are the crazy ones. Is that true? Oh, yeah. That's why you put me on this bus? Good. Okay, now it's about 601.
We can find any other than
Aaron, get your butt out of the way.
Light changes, okay? Picture of you, whatever it's called. If not, get right on that bus, right down here, okay? And we'll have an adult stand there and count them as they get on. It's very helpful. Okay? All right?
They can do things.
Isn't there?
All right.
Anh kéo. Em có xong việc còn xong thì bán gì?
Đó thì hợp quá.
Em bao bao ba. Em bao bao. Wine. Very good.
If you have a camera, come on up front here. Come around to the front and you get some good pictures before we move on. Is that a good shot?
Joey plays on it. Jeremy, there's a Lincoln Town Car. I'm just kidding. Keep together.
Never mind. Yeah, he's getting down too. Probably like a funky chain. Another color. Poor old funky. Oh, he's the drummer. 5-gallon bucket.
Hold the number.
Hey.
Too bad we can't hear him.
1-800-223-0170.
We got percussion people in here? Listen.
He's pretty good on that bucket.
Like a bird fat in the ground.
It's like a spider. Like 1984. That got on the 5-gallon group. 5-gallon buckets is good.
Oh.
Here, that makes a difference. Nope.